We are back after some time away with our featured league race preview show as the Ghost Racing Cup Series turns left and right at Watkins Glen. We're going to talk about that here as we preview their next race. And welcome to Spin Move iRacing Network. We're finally back after some time of being away, and the Ghost Racing Cup Series continues to chug along. They are going to turn left and right this week at Watkins Glen, and David, we are going to be covering that here. Say hello to the internet.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to be back with you, Zach. And like you mentioned, we're doing something a little bit out of the norm for most of these NASCAR leagues, and we are heading to a road course. Left and right turns will certainly challenge these drivers, and I'm looking forward to everything they have to offer coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look here at the rundown for today's show, and let's get right into it, diving into the track specs. David, this is not a cookie cutter racetrack, so guide us through the treacherous Glen.
So at the Glen, you have a 2.45, so basically 2.5 mile road course track with 8 different turns. Heading down off of that front stretch into turn one is really going to be the key here off of these starts. And if we're doing the restarts for the stages, as I anticipate we will, where drivers are really going to have to take some time and maneuver around each other as you go from a very fast section of the track into a sharp 90-degree right hand turn. You then head out to a short straightaway and head up to the S's, as everyone commonly knows. As you head up the hill here at Watkins Glen, you take a right turn, start coming up the hill, and you make that left bend just a little bit, and then there's that sweeping right turn leading into the stretch, heading into the bus stop. Uh, as you get into the bus stop there, another slow area of the track, driver's going to have to be mindful with braking, and something that they don't do too often, especially on ovals, is a downshift. So tires hopping, tempers flaring, all fighting for really what's one or two lines going through into the bus stop there, out into the carousel as they come out of the bus stop into another short straightaway with a left hand turn, short straightaway, right hand turn, back on the front stretch, diving down into turn one at high speed yet again. So it will be very exciting to watch, and I hope that we get to experience the whole race without too many wrecks or issues, as cautions will be light for this race.
Yeah, so let's dive into that here in our next takeaway for our featured league and what we're going to be previewing for this event. The Ghost 200 is taking on a format similar to quite a number of NASCAR iRacing leagues that come together for this event, and they elect to let's just say be light on the yellow flags, because there's this expectation that there will be spinouts. There will be cars that wind up damaged or hitting the wall or overshooting a turn, or we're going to see probably quite a number of people, as we talked about, as you talked about with the track specs, like going through the bus stop and messing that up. So there's plenty of room for driver error here. And if we depended on iRacing to throw all of those cautions, then we would never actually race. And nobody wants to sponsor a league, take a look at a league that never has any green flag runs. So this the admin of this league elected to kind of pull in some opinions over how they should maneuver through, and what they're going to do is very similar to other. I think of Formula One right off the top of my head with road courses. They are going to do what's called localized cautions, but not officially through iRacing, as the NASCAR circuit would have to take literally 2 or 3 laps around this very long racetrack to cycle through a caution. So the onus is on the driver to say, "Hey, I'm spun out in this corner. Watch out!" Or, "Hey, I'm junked right now. I'm trying to get back to pit road. Watch out for me." And basically, the drivers are on the honor system, making sure that they're going to do their best to do their part, because there is no yellow flags to save them until the stage end. And I think that can make for some really interesting strategy, really interesting racing. What about you?
I like the way you put it, making sure that drivers do their part. Everybody has different experience levels, especially when it comes down to road courses. So, what I'm really looking forward to are drivers that know they're not necessarily fast, but they can be consistent.
Mm.
And what I'm looking for those slower drivers, especially as the leaders are making their faster laps heading around the track, is just for them to pull off to the side where it's safe to do so, let the leaders by. It's a long race, there's plenty of time, and really with all the wrecks that we anticipate with drivers just spinning out on their own or having their own issues, you could very well see drivers get a very good finish by running slower but consistent and steady laps.
Yeah, I think with this race format, in terms of uh, no full course yellows until stage end, it could definitely make for some from interesting strategy. We'll talk about that as we move on in our show, but just definitely worth a note in case if you're a viewer watching this and you're going, whoa, they're wrecking. Where are all the yellow flags? Well, that's why they actually want some green flag racing. They want drivers to get into a rhythm, and that's what they're gonna try to put forward here on Wednesday evening. Let's move on and talk about the race to the playoffs, David, and how all this is shaping up. It is getting tight there around the 16th playoff spot. In fact, 15th and 16th are tied for a playoff spot heading into this week, and the rest of the field behind them is pretty close. If I remember correctly, even down to about 20th place is within 25 points or so. So definitely a lot of tension happening down there, as well as some folks that are rapidly ascending through the standings. It's going to be very interesting to see if drivers can keep their cars clean and prioritize stage racing. Are we at that point in the season where drivers are really starting to concentrate more on those stages and racking up those points versus where I'm going to wind up finishing at the end of this thing?
With the exception of this race, of course, drivers are really getting to know how each other race during these league races and understanding where to expect a driver to be coming from if they're, fast, but they're starting in the back for whatever reason, or if they simply had a bad qualifying lap. Drivers really getting that chance to understand each other. So I think that plays a critical factor when we start talking about how important these stage points are towards this second half of the season. We've reduced tire sets now. We're talking different pit strategies, longer races, longer green flag runs as these drivers have gotten more comfortable around each other on the track. And you're really seeing a mix of drivers start to rise up through the field as they've become a lot more comfortable and gained that confidence throughout the season. And I think you're absolutely right. Drivers are prioritizing those stage points. We have a number of bonus points that are available week to week for drivers leading a lap, having zero incidents, leading the most laps. So there's definitely opportunities to make up those critical points down at that cut line. And as you mentioned, 4 spots out of the playoffs, it looks like we're around that 25-point mark heading into the chase. So plenty of opportunity for these drivers to make their way in, or drivers in the top 16 to find their way out of a playoff with a poor race.
Yeah, and there's a lot of room for drivers to have a poor race here at Watkins Glen, where if road courses aren't your thing and you cannot manage this racetrack, drivers are going to be in for a world of hurt by the end of this thing. It's really going to be a battle of attrition. It's going to be more emphasized, I would think, this week than any other week, that drivers finish the race, that they keep on chugging along, because you just never know when that fast repair is going to be gone from the guy that might be 4 laps in front of you, right? And now there's a chance where you could gain some spots, and that happens a lot in terms of league play at these road course races, especially later on in the contest, where spots just become available that you wouldn't really expect. So it does benefit you to stick it out and race the whole thing.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, as the run goes on, you're going to see more cars that possibly have been struggling all day or are now on older tires having those self spins or overshooting a turn, and a gap that might have been 2 or 3 seconds. You could end up passing them, or maybe it's shortened to, couple tenths of a second, where the driver finally has an opportunity to start racing a good line and trying to chase that driver down and make the pass.
Yeah, so that's a good transition into what we really want to flesh out here. If you are new to iRacing, or if you are even experienced in iRacing, you know that road courses, for folks who particularly like NASCAR racing, it could be a challenge, especially if you exclusively do NASCAR racing. Your comfort is turning left and not necessarily right, and especially with a track like Watkins Glen, there's heavy braking, and you have to understand where your brake parts are and where other folks' brake lines are, and it there's a lot to manage. It can be very challenging. So, David, we're gonna just let's flesh out and talk about some of the more daunting challenges that an iRacer that really exclusively races NASCAR has when they come to a road course.
With the exception of maybe Martinsville, the one big challenge that really stands out to me is downshifting these cars. As you get into turn one right away, that 90-degree turn, I don't know of anyone that makes that turn staying in third or fourth gear, whatever you choose to run down the straightaway. So taking your hand potentially off the wheel. I know some of our drivers are using H pattern shifters and changing gears, and sometimes going through the beginning of the turn at least one handed. So that is definitely a challenge that you need to watch out for. And then on top of that, as you already mentioned, people have different braking zones where they feel comfortable getting their car slow enough to make the turn. So you have to be paying attention while you're shifting, possibly driving with one hand, to the cars around you and what they're doing. So it definitely presents itself with some challenges. And then, as primarily oval drivers, something these drivers have to look out for is, I'm turning left, I'm turning right. The calls from your spotter in your ear are entirely different on a road course. It's no longer, hey, you have a guy to your outside or you have a guy to your inside, because that's always the same on an oval. You have a guy to your left, you have a guy to your right. You got to use your brain just that little bit more, and it could throw a driver off if they're not expecting it.
Oh, dang it! I have to know my right from my left this week. I might take a provisional. I might bow out, but yeah, that little bit of extra brain power might fling you over the edge, and that nicely transitions into what I wanted to talk about with a challenge of a road course. I can't tell you how many guys I have seen blow up their cars because they just shifted the wrong way, and either on an H pattern, or you could do it really easy with pedals on a wheel, where you mix up your right from your left, and you're trying to figure out, okay, am I gonna get run over from people behind me? Am I catching the guy in front of me? I got right left now in my ear, and there's all these things trying to make sense in your brain, and you shift the wrong way, and then your car blows up, and you're actually on the opposite side of one of the longer courses we're going to have on this circuit, and now you're doomed, because you have a long tow all the way back to pit road, and then of course an engine repair takes a long time. So absolutely, I think that shifting and making sure that you know your brake zones as well as other people's brake zones, and understanding that this is going to take a little bit more brain power than a cookie cutter racetrack. All of those things can play into driver performance here at Watkins Glen.
There's a critical point that I can't believe I forgot up until now that really might throw these drivers for a loop when you talk about oval racing versus road course racing here at the Glen specifically. Pit lane.
Mm,
Drivers are used to pulling into their box on the left-hand side and kind of getting up close and personal with that wall and seeing their pit crew right there out of their driver's side window. Pit lane here at the Glen is the exact opposite. You're now pitting with the right-hand side of the car towards that pit wall, and it's a small detail, but I
yeah.
know personally I've gotten a little too close to the wall racing here at the Glen and had to back up, and it shaves some seconds off or onto pit stops. So it's definitely something to watch out for.
Mm, yeah. And it's wild. Like that pit road entry comes right off of that hard last corner, and you really have to make sure that you don't get too excited gassing it up off the corner, or you're going to wreck even before you get to pit road entry. And the pit road itself at Watkins Glen, if I remember right, is fairly narrow. So understanding where your boundaries are can be really important. All right. Well, we're now at the part of the show where we're going to throw up our hands and go, it's a road course. We're not picking, no. But we're gonna try to pick. We're gonna try to make an informed decision. But let me go first for my main pick, so to speak, and then we'll flip it for dark horse picks. But I think that a guy in this league that the world kind of needs to watch out for, and we didn't cover it last week because we took time away from YouTube last week, and but is Christopher Tate, and that is a guy where I believe he's driving the 54 car. So watch out for him, and he's a new guy in this league, and he's had some chatter on the Discord. He's like, I'm 176 back from the cut line or something like that, and he is determined. He's a multiple winner here in this league now, and he's coming. I think he's on a mission. So that's gonna be my pick, Tate in the 54 machine.
Absolutely. He is a driver that is doing everything he can to make his way up to that cut line coming in late in the season here. But what I am looking for is a driver that claims he has found some speed throughout these practice sessions and is really looking forward to this race, uh, possibly a little more than other drivers in this league. The number 4 of Dan Miglin. Says he's laid down some fast lap times here. I haven't personally been able to join the practice sessions, but rumor has it he is throwing down some laps that will make some of these other drivers just get out of his way when he is coming up in that rear view mirror. So he's my top pick for this week, and interested to hear your thoughts on who a possible dark horse might be.
Hmm. I really haven't thought too much into the dark horse picks, really, because everybody here at Watkins Glen tends to be a dark horse. You just never know. It's such a mixed bag, and you have folks in the field that, man, they're road course ringers, right? And they're gonna shine here, but they're dark horses everywhere else. And with this league, we don't have the history to really know. Hey, this is the guy who won here last time we raced here. We just don't have that yet with this league and this group of drivers. So I really think that for here at Watkins Glen, I don't have a pick quite just yet, but you are responsible for telling us your dark horse pick first. So yeah, I'm gonna pin that on you while I sift through my phone here and just take a brief look at the roster.
Well, I tried to get out of showing my hand too early, but I'm going to go with our league admin, Mr. Chris Hubka. He's also been laying some times in practice, maybe not getting quite as quick as some of these other guys, but I feel like Chris is really focusing on being consistent and making sure that he does everything he can to have a good race car come the end of the race. And for that reason alone, I am going out on a limb and saying that he gets it done. He keeps that car clean and maybe finds one of those spots late in the race to pick up and get to the win.
Pretty good. Um, I am sifting through right now, and I think I've landed on a guy. So, I've scrolled through, and a name that I'm starting to see creep up through the standings is Gonzalez in the 24 machine, and he's been making some moves. And like I said, it's really hard to pick dark horses because we don't know who's good and we don't know who's not good at road courses. So I'm going to land on Gonzalez in the 24 machine, and we'll see if either one of our picks, main guy or dark horse, winds up winning this thing at Watkins Glen. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up the show today, David?
It will be a challenge and it will be a long race with this track being almost 2.5 miles long. Looking forward to what these drivers bring and looking forward to how drivers really manage those restarts, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and this is going to be a race of attrition. It will pay off if you stick it out and you make sure you get to the end. Just get to the end and maximize those positions that you're going to wind up gaining based on other guys' misfortune. It's going to be an interesting one as the Ghost Racing Cup Series turns left and right on Wednesday night. Where can you find them, David? Where and when, I guess, can you find them?
9 o'clock on Wednesday nights via SRM on Facebook or ESBN on YouTube. You can find all of that information and more through their Facebook page. They will have links and everything posted to their YouTube site as well. And then if you're interested in checking out more of our content here beneath me, we have a link to our website where you can check out our videos and things that we look forward to doing as we move deeper into the Spin Move iRacing Network history.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you like this video, please give it a like. And if you disagree with our picks, make sure you correct us down in the comments. And if you do, we'll say hi back. We really like interacting with you guys, and anybody who is interested in watching the Ghost Racing Cup Series. We hope you found this information worth your view and worth your while here on YouTube. And in the meantime, we're gonna put in some practice, and we're gonna try to do our best here in Watkins Glen. But until we meet again here on YouTube, just remember to keep on racing.